An amazing smaller option to the Galaxy Z Fold 4 is the Oppo Find N2. Really, Oppo ought to think about releasing this outside of China. The Chinese foldable market is so cutthroat that it looks like every new release must establish a new foldable hardware standard in order to have a marketing angle. The thinnest folding phone ever was the Xiaomi Mix Fold 2 released this summer. The Honor Magic VS, which was just released, features the largest battery in a foldable phone. The 233 grams weight of the Oppo Find N2 makes it the lightest horizontal foldable to yet. Because there are significant advancements in foldable technology, it would be rude to reject these technological advances as simple gimmicks. After all, who wouldn't desire a phone with a slimmer body, a bigger battery, or a lower weight? Samsung could certainly take a few notes. However, despite the fact that Chinese firms are pushing the envelope in terms of hardware innovation, I wish they would iron out some of the software issues that have plagued their foldables for a long. Don't get me wrong, Oppo has made progress in polishing and upgrading the software on the Find N2, but it isn't quite there yet, because some of the software annoyances from the original Find N are still present. The fact that the Find N is using software developed for the Chinese market, however, is also a contributing factor in some of the software troubles. Yes, this is another foldable phone that is currently only available in China. However, there is good news. Oppo also unveiled the Find N2, which will be sold outside of China, a smaller clamshell foldable. Oppo is therefore open to the concept, and according to its representatives, the business will determine whether to launch the Find N2 globally, after assessing consumer interest. Chinese businesses frequently redesign their products totally from generation to generation, yet the Find N2 unmistakably seems like a continuation of the Find N. The Find N2 is 42 grams lighter than the Find N1, but otherwise the dimensions and in-hand feel are identical. It's an amazing feat of engineering that Oppo was able to reduce weight by that much, while maintaining a gadget that was largely the same size. The business claims that the new hinge, which is lighter and has fewer moving parts, is the main cause of the weight drop. Despite this, Oppo's marketing states that the hinge is stronger and can endure 400,000 folds after being tested by TUV Lab. Oppo's hinge can stay in place mid-fold, unlike other foldables from Xiaomi and Honor, letting the device sit on a tabletop like a laptop. I certainly can't comment on whether the hinge is more durable yet, but it does seem extremely well built. The Find N2 measures 7.4mm unfurled and 14.6mm folded, making it slightly slimmer than the original. This is a step in the right direction, but the Xiaomi Mix Fold 2's unbelievable thinness, 5.4mm unfolded, 11.2mm folded, has spoiled me, so the Find N2 still feels a little heavy in my hand. Since it can fold flat, it is slimmer than Samsung's Galaxy Z Fold 4. At this point, it would be more newsworthy if a new Chinese foldable didn't have a sleeker appearance than Samsung's Fold. The Find N2 sports a similarly diminutive 5.5-inch outer screen, with an almost 18:9 aspect ratio to the first handset. The only recent slab phone with a smaller screen than this is the now discontinued iPhone mini series. When I evaluated the first Find N last year, I actually quite liked this size, but as of late 2022, I think it's a little too small. What could cause such a shift in perspective in just a year? I believe it's a result of the popularity of vertical videos over the past 12 months, and the appearance of folding phones that fall somewhere between the tiny Find N and a candy bar-sized Samsung Fold. The device's short outside screen and overall form result in a display that is broader than it is tall when it is unfolded horizontally. Oppo stands apart in this area because other Chinese foldables often unfurl into a square, and Samsung's foldables open into an upright rectangle. The majority of the screens look fantastic. The larger main display has a resolution of 1920x1792 and employs LTPO technology, allowing the refresh rate to go from 1 Hz to 120 Hz, while the smaller outer screen has a resolution of 2120x1080 and a 120 Hz panel. The main drawback is that Samsung's Galaxy Z Fold 4 or the greatest slab panels cannot compete with the maximum brightness of 500 nits. I concur that the Find N2 has the faintest crease in the market, as claimed by Oppo. In most angles, the groove in this area is essentially undetectable, and your fingers won't feel it either. Once more, this is a significant improvement over Samsung's deep gutter that spans the folding point. In Samsung's defense, these Chinese foldables with a lighter crease lack an official water-resistant grade, in contrast to the Fold 4, which has one. However, I'm not sure if a sharp crease is necessary for water resistance. The Find N2 comes in 3 color options: green, white, and black. Green and white have a typical glass finish, while black has vegan leather. I adore the black unit's leather-like texture. In general, I support the use of vegan leather for phone backs. The Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1 CPU, which powers the Find N2, is theoretically still the newest and finest SoC for Android phones in most of the world. But the more recent Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 chipset is already in some handsets available only in Asia, and it will reach the West in a few months. The processor in this place is still adequate. Oppo also employs a self-made imaging chip called the Mary Silicon X for image processing. Later, more on this. There is no wireless charging, however the 4520 mAh battery may be quickly charged at 67 watt speed using the supplied charging brick. Additionally, this device has the customary 12 gigs of RAM, and either 256 or 512 gigs of storage. The main camera system of the Find N2 has 3 cameras, the most prominent of which is a 50-megapixel Sony IMX890 sensor, with a 1x1.56-inch sensor size, and an f1.8 aperture. The 48 megapixels ultra-wide and 32 megapixels 2x telephoto zoom lenses are placed on either side of this lens. Additionally, each screen has a hole punch that conceals two 32 megapixel selfie cameras. These lenses are ideal for foldable phones, and Oppo's specialist imaging processor Mary Silicon X produces images with great HDR and dynamic range that are quite good. While the upcoming Oppo Find X6 Pro will employ a 1-inch Sony IMX989 sensor and be powered by the second generation Mary Silicon Y, this camera system is still Oppo's second tier 1, according to my impossible standards. In my perspective, this is foldables' main drawback. The lack of a truly top-of-the-line camera system for foldables may be owing to space restrictions or high production costs. Of course, I'm being picky. If I contrasted the Oppo Find N2's photo-taking abilities to those of other foldable phones, it withstands abuse well. I like the Hasselblad-inspired contrasty color science used by Oppo. There were numerous app scaling concerns with Find N last year, because the majority of Android apps are intended for portrait mode rather than landscape orientation. Apps occasionally open sideways or with a ridiculous amount of color boxing because they won't fit on a landscape screen. Here, many of these problems have been resolved, although some still exist. For instance, Board still does not support split-screen keyboard on all devices, which regrettably includes the Find N2. As a result, typing becomes quite difficult when the Find N2 is unfurled, and Gboard spans across the entire width of the widescreen. Installing SwiftKey, which happily provides a split keyboard for all devices, is the only option I have. However, I've been using Gboard for years, and find it to be superior to SwiftKey. Other than that, YouTube still does not support split screen horizontally, thus if I want to run YouTube alongside another app, it must split vertically, reducing the amount of screen space available for videos. Even more irritating, while horizontal split screen is an option here, it only applies to Oppo's own apps, and, I assume, select Chinese apps. The fact that the ColorOS being used here is the China version, which lacks built-in Google compatibility, is a big contributor to these problems. Because they are Google applications, YouTube and Board might not work well with this program. These problems might go away if the Find N2 used the worldwide edition of ColorOS. That's unfortunate because I usually enjoy ColorOS. It features some of the slickest, most fluid animations I've seen, and it offers a ton of custom gestures like launching an app by sketching a shape on a lock screen, or bringing up a split screen by swiping 2 fingers along the middle of the screen. On ColorOS, you can use finger gestures to complete many tasks that would require 2 to 3 taps on another phone. I haven't used the phone long enough to draw final judgment, but so far, the Oppo Find N2's hardware quality and feel in the hand have impressed me. My only legitimate complaints are that the exterior screen is a little too tiny, maybe 5.7 inches would be better. And that there are software problems. Yes, I wish it had Oppo's real top camera system as well, but asking for a foldable, especially one that will cost roughly $1,100 in China, seems a bit ridiculous. The Fold 4 is too long and narrow for some people, but the Find N2 is much more appealing due to its smaller size. As long as it's not more costly than the Fold 4, even if it gets the inescapable markup for the worldwide market, I believe it has a lot of appeal. Thank you for watching this review, I hope it was useful for you, have a nice day and see you soon.